Okay, so what have we found? So we've been looking, making observation, we've been making counts, going down the line, and basically taking account of how many onions have either a basal plate issue or obvious pink root, because both are unhealthy. Now look, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily rejectable, but we want to set the standards high, and as we're evaluating our performance and our tools and our management, we're going to set that high. And so for us, success, the bar we're shooting for is going to be these onions all having no perceivable disease. That being said, what we basically done is done a count. If we consider it bad if there's a significant basal plate issue, or if there's obvious pink root.
So you were just in the middle of saying, unfortunately, when you see some pink root, that
sometimes you also see a lot of these torn roots, and so those are probably disease roots. Not that onion roots love to get, when you pull them up, they stay in the soil if they've got a little disease on them because they're not as strong. And so as you pull up, you can look at the bottom and look at this and see there's not a lot there, and they pulled off because they were weak. And so there's probably some sort of disease in there, not allowing nutrients and water to get into the bulb. So now we're looking at the roots because that's the first thing we look at. We're gonna look for pinkish hues, tints, and then eventually we're gonna cut the bottom of the root off and look at the basal plates. So that's the growing point. That's where the nutrients are getting into the bulb. And then we'll also cut the onions in half and look to see how far the rot has actually gotten into the onions. So
pink root, off the top of your head, pink root is caused by what fungal pathogens?
Yeah, it's Phoma terrestris.
Phoma terrestris.
Right.
And then what's this, Joe? Like, there's a couple things I'm noticing. I'm no onion expert, but one thing I'm noticing with some of these onions is the lack of the central aspect of that basal plate. Some of these seem to have roots on the periphery, but in the center,
right,
they're kind of dead. And then like this one's even more extreme. Does that cause from a different pathogen than Phoma, or what would you say?
Sometimes we'll find out as we cut this open, but sometimes you get twin centers. I'm not sure what they're called in the onion world, but
no, it's the opposite of, yeah.
So you got basically two centers, and that makes for a really poor onion because of onion rings. You want a nice ring on your onions for onion rings specifically. But so when they split like that, sometimes that means they have two growing points. So again, we'll find out more as we cut that one into, but it's an opening, it's a wound in a plant, and that is always a place for disease to come.
That's right, yeah.
So we want to make sure we mitigate those things.
And of course we look at that and immediately we ask questions and say things like, well, why is there an opening? And sometimes, unfortunately, I think traditionally we say, oh, there's disease, and so we're focused on the disease, and rightly so there is. But like you said, anytime there's an opening, and so why is there an opening? Why is the onion split? And of course, there could be a number of reasons that could be, but one of those reasons could be a nutrient deficiency, a deficiency in calcium, deficiency in silica, deficiency in copper, which of course, we're not just focused on the deficiency, because why is it deficient? It could be an excess in sodium or magnesium or just an imbalance. So yeah. Okay, so we'll take a look at, start cutting these babies open and see what we see deeper. This is treated, right? This is treated.
Yes.
And that's untreated.
Yes.
So what do you see? What do you think? What's our numbers and what do we look for?
So for the 24 onions that we randomly picked out of the treated side, we found that there were 13 diseased. So out of 24, somebody do the quick math for me, that's 11? Yes, so 11 that were undiseased, that would be passable, sellable, that will probably do fine in storage, would make it to harvest. So 13 disease. Now, in the untreated, where we didn't have our nutrition program, we found 21 disease. So that's quick math. That's 3 that were probably passable, that would not fail in storage, that could be sellable. So 21 diseased in the untreated, and that's terrible. So we're stepping in the right direction. We're doing some nutrition, we're doing something with this treated here, and we're seeing some evidence to our eyes. Now, we're just using pocket knives and we're cutting off basal plates and looking at pink roots. That's all we're doing. So maybe somebody else would have a different perspective, but it was pretty clear there's less disease treated, more disease, in the untreated.
Do we consider that we've succeeded? Ultimately, no, this isn't the standard, but we've made progress. And considering what we've done, and that it's nutrition, mineral nutrition, beneficial biology, and feeding beneficial biology. It's all natural. It's not no pesticides. So that's pretty impressive. That's a pretty impressive difference. So we're happy with the results we're seeing, especially considering we could have been in the field much earlier. And this isn't our program. This is just a small portion of what we do. So that's exciting because we're isolating this and looking at this in our full program. But when we do a full program, including foliars and sap analysis, etc., we know we'll only see better results. Hey, thanks for tuning in and watching our content. We really appreciate you and appreciate you watching our videos. Please like and subscribe if you like what you're seeing here. Also, look down in the description down below for our website, link to our Regen Agronomy podcast, and our phone numbers and email, etc. Reach out to us, please, if you want to know more about the content you see here in the videos.